Hello, I'm the host of Wow Podcast. My name is Darshaun. If you typically listen to this podcast on audio-only platforms, well, rest assured, there's a link in the description that takes you to the video format of this podcast interview. Now, let's get on with our special guest. Let's get right into it. Listen, a lot of times what gives me the accreditation, if you will, and the representation. Hello, I'm the host of Wow Podcast. My name is Darshaun. And it's going down like this.
Big Red helps me around the house. My dream car happens to be a 13 Tundra. What's yours?
Anything else you got to say? Any words of maybe encouragement or words of hope?
Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Darshaun. You're tuned in to wowpodcast.me. That's wowpodcast.me. Today we have a special guest. We have K.T Anglehart, and she's here to talk to us about her books. The first book that she came out with was The Wise One, and her second release is The Twin Flame. K.T, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. So give me a little synopsis about The Wise One, that first book that you came out with.
Sure. So The Wise One is a young adult, sort of urban fantasy kind of paranormal fiction story. It follows a teenager named McKenna. She awakens on her 17th birthday with a nightmare where she's being burned at the stake. And she later finds out that she's having these nightmares because it's sort of awakening abilities inside her that she's always had. And it's her journey of self-discovery. Takes place in 1991, so there's a little bit of a retro, a little bit of a retro feel there, which I love. And she journeys to Ireland to find her birth mother to find out what all this is about.
Okay, and the second release, The Twin Flame?
It's the sequel. So I would just say it's more on her journey and more about a lot more magic in it, more discovering of what she's capable of and the old prophecy that she's tied to. And I can't say more than that unless you've read the first. So it's definitely a sequel. The first one ends on a cliffhanger, so you'll want to jump right into the second right away.
Okay, got you. So I got a question about your multilingualness. Throughout your series, do you do little Easter eggs of teaching people how to speak French or Italian or even Spanglish?
Spanglish is my favorite. No, that's actually not quite the vibe I have going in this book. This is very much the setting of Ireland and Scotland. So there's not much of those languages going on. That's just me. Growing up in Montreal, French is like a must. So you got to learn French. I'm Italian. My dad was born in Italy. My mom was fully Italian as well. So like just grew up with the language also. It was my first as a kid. And then Spanish in school, which I keep learning on my own as much as I can to practice because I love Spanish. So, but I'm not quite there yet. That's why I call it Spanglish.
Yeah, I got you. So this is out of pure curiosity.
Yeah.
And I really don't know, and I'm really asking because I'm curious. Do you think that magic is real or even paranormal activity?
Oh, yes. Yeah, to an extent. Of course, I'm exaggerating in my book, but yeah, I do. Ghosts and spirits, absolutely. I like to believe there are parallel planes. I have no proof, but I love to believe that we've got another realm going on at the same time. Yeah, and I think magic is really the big message in the book is because there's a huge nature and environmental theme. And I think the big message is that magic is all around us and can be found in nature. And just like listening to our intuition is also magic. I think it's like just kind of listening to like your higher self and what your soul's trying to tell you and just trying to fulfill that destiny that you have.
So let me do a deep dive into your mind quickly. What was the energy and the inspiration to write this type of series or this type of genre? Like, why did you decide to go there?
I just grew up with watching Charmed and reading Harry Potter and loving other worlds in Narnia and Lord of the Rings, and like it's just the ultimate escape route, I guess, for me. It always has been. So I think I've been concocting stories in my head since I was a kid. So just like it was natural for me. I'm like, I'm going to be writing stories, whether that's on television, whether that's in books. I knew that's what I was going to be doing. And I just love providing that sort of entertainment and escapism, especially. And I'm very drawn to Ireland and Scotland and like folklore and that that part of the world. And I really did a deep dive in there. I did so much research. It took 4 years to write my first book. I went to those places as well. I keep traveling. I actually just came back from Scotland again. So it's just like a draw and a fascination.
Okay, so yeah, let me ask you about that, Scotland. What's so magical about that place to you?
Have you been? Can I ask?
No, I haven't been, but I do plan on going.
Good. I'm glad. It's one of those places, at least for me, and I know for many people, there's something about the landscape that comes alive. Even the temperature is crazy. It's just like has a whole attitude of its own. It's never the same weather for more than like an hour. There's just something really weird in a wonderful way, very mystical and magical there, and it's such a great feeling. And I went and I knew I would come back. I'm like, I'm going back as often as I can. And it's hard to explain. It's one of those things. I think everyone's drawn to some place, no matter where in the world, and that's mine. I don't know. I don't know.
I got you. So let's talk about the characters a little bit, especially from the first series. I don't want to spoil the second one, but in the Wise one, what type of, or I should I say, how many characters are in the first book?
Oh, I've never really counted. Okay, so I do switch perspectives, not too much. I don't like when we're always jumping around. It does, for the most part, take. It is McKenna's perspective for the most part. So she has a best friend named Nissa, who's kind of her counterpart. She's the bubbly. Version of McKenna. McKenna is very much more like somber, I guess, like more serious, a little bit more on the pessimistic side. And she has her two dads, not quite common back then. So we switched a bit of perspectives from them too, because they're going through their own journey and trying to find their daughter. We have a high priestess who's after her. So that's, well, like I would say four main characters, really, and then the secondary characters.
Now, is there a character in both of the books that people would like love to hate or fall in love with?
Oh yeah. There's a guy. Of course, there's a guy. It's not the main, like it's not a romantic book. It's like a very, very light kind of subplot. But there is a guy who we don't know whether to trust, and people love to hate him or love to, try to figure him out. No one knows whether to trust him. And I love that. I love hearing fan theories so much. And it kind of carries over to the second. So yeah, his name is Killian. And I guess I won't say more than that, but it's a very exciting dynamic that the two have.
Gotcha. You like leaving everybody on a cliffhanger, I see. So with that being said, I like to dive into the business aspect of books. When you were writing these series, were you thinking about turning them into some type of TV show, maybe some type of movie? Tell me about that theory.
I wonder where that question comes from, because I have definitely said that in the webverse for sure. I've expressed that, yeah, I wrote this actually first as a TV show, and then it was for so I was doing my master's in creative writing, and this is when the idea came, and I wrote it as a TV script. And before declaring my thesis project, I decided that this story needed more expansion. It needed attention. It needed me to really write it out, and I wanted to make it a novel. So that's why I wrote it and into a book. But originally, it's a TV show. I still see it as a TV show when I write it. So yeah, of course, the big hope is like HBO. Someone pick it up. I mean, it doesn't need to be HBO. Actually, it's very much teen. But you know what I mean.
Right.
Netflix is good too.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about networks picking it up. Let's talk about maybe the success and the failure rate of trying to pursue it. What have you done so far to try to get it out there?
In terms of television, I have not yet. I'm very much focused on finishing this series. Book-wise, I mean, running promotions, just being around on social media, which I'm trying to improve. I'm not the best on social media. I'm trying my best. But most of all, publicity, like just being in interviews like this one, and and talking to hosts and podcasts and that sort of thing. But right now, I'm also organizing a speaker series so that I can go to schools personally and talk about writing, just writing books and like trying to inspire young aspiring authors and that kind of thing. So I think it starts with your community. It definitely is important to be online and just supporting your fellow authors, following pages that inspire you, and just being around and commenting and offering insight.
So, with your writing journey, are you where you want to be?
I'm exactly where I want to be. I'm a new author, and I know the journey is long. And I have to say, I see the progression, and however steady and gradual that is, I'm happy. Like I'm doing everything the exact way I want it to be done, and I really trust that I'm heading in the right direction.
So, with that being said, I like to typically ask this question because I think it's really important.
Mhm.
What does your legacy look like for you, and have you been pursuing it?
Oh, I love that. That's such a big one, though. Leaving behind stories that inspire others to look around them, to realize that the world we're in is one that we need to keep respecting and remembering that we're part of it just as much as um, anything. I mean, I think we're in a time where we tend to forget that we're part of nature because of the technology that's on the rise, and that while that's all good, we have to keep in touch with our humanity. We have to always be in touch with our creativity. I think inspiration is huge right now, and that's what I'm trying to come across. Like, just keep trying to get across in the books, just to be in touch with yourself and your intuition, and respect the nature that's around you, and follow that magic.
So, following the magic, let me ask you this. So, this is a real big one, and it's not
Another
to be
one.
taken offensively. Are you self-published or traditionally published?
Oh, I don't take that offensively at all. I chose to self publish. I did
Mhm.
not even seek out an agent. It's my first journey into this author universe, and I wanted to do it exactly the way I wanted. And I'm happy I did. I've learned so much, and the community is amazing. And I mean, I won a first place in Paranormal Fiction Award. So, indie or not, very indies are just as well respected as traditional authors. It's whatever you prefer. It's whatever journey you prefer is not right or wrong. I mean, like, they're just very different paths. And it's not to say I wouldn't go traditional someday. I just knew that for this series, for my first ever um, author experience, I wanted to test the waters and choose my own cover and have the final say in my edits and that kind of thing.
I must say, you did a fantastic job. I wouldn't have known that you had self-published. I think your book covers are fantastic. I love the website. Let's tell everyone what you have going on. Of course, your social media. The website is on the screen. Let's let everybody know what you got going.
Yeah, so please sign up to my newsletter on my website, ktanglehart.com. That's heart, Hart. And just follow me at kt_Anglehart on Instagram and Facebook. And that's it. I post magical content, try to get people up to Scotland and Ireland and those beautiful places, and teach you a little bit about history and some witchcraft and all those fun paranormal things. And yeah, just meet me there. And I'm very happy to message you and answer any questions too.
Absolutely. You seem like the type of person that likes to leave people with an inspirational quote or some type of happy feeling. Would you like to end the podcast with something positive?
Okay. Well, to you know what, to inspiring aspiring writers, I just want to say, and as someone who's dealt with imposter syndrome and like perfectionism and that kind of thing, it all doesn't really, the perfectionism aspect doesn't really matter. It can be paralyzing. So just remember, it's all about the process. And once you nail down that process, trust it over and over again. So process over perfectionism, and you're good to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking to K.T Anglehart. She is the weaver of mystic tales. It was such an appreciation of talking to you, KT. Please don't be a stranger to wowpodcast.me. We greatly appreciate you.
I appreciate you having me, and you're an awesome interviewer. Thank you so much.
No problem.